All right, everybody, if you want to follow more of the top stories of the day, go to lawandcrime.com. But right now, I want to bring in Vincent Hill, law enforcement expert, and our very own host here on Law and Crime to talk about Cosby. Good morning, Vincent.
Hey, good morning, Jesse. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. All right, is there any validity in Cosby's wife saying this?
Yeah, I don't really get what the point is here, Jesse. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you look at the deposition from 2005, I believe, Bill Cosby admitted to giving Quaaludes to Ms. Constein. He admitted he wanted to have a sexual relationship with her. So to say they want the judge investigated in this case, the prosecutor investigated in this case, what is the point? He has admitted to the crime, so I don't see what the issue is here.
Well, I think the issue is he's trying to do anything possible, or his family's trying to do anything possible for him to get the most lenient sentence. The bigger question, I would suppose, is what are the chances that he could get a successful appeal? What do you think about that?
I don't think his chances are really that good. I mean, outside of what was found in the court of law, I mean, you look at the court of public opinion, and that's pretty strong. I mean, everybody is against Bill Cosby. We're in the era of the Me Too movement. We just talked about Kavanaugh and the issue that's going on there. So I don't think Bill has too great of a chance here.
Yeah, but he shook up his whole legal team. And when he lost, he shook it all up. That means something. He's not giving up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at 30-plus years in prison, especially at his age, I definitely wouldn't give up either. I think I would do anything I could to try to get out of this and get an appeal or get that conviction overturned. So I definitely don't fault him for what he's doing, but I don't see it going in his favor.
Real quick, I know we have 10 seconds. Vincent, are you surprised that his wife still supports him throughout all this?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, they've been married for decades. I mean, she was with him way before the Cosby Show and way before his height of his fame. So, no, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what happens with that. Vincent, stand by. We're going to have you on to talk about our live trials today, including the Van Dyke case, which we're going to talk about right after this break. So stay tuned here on Law and Crime. That's some of the prosecution's opening statement. Really powerful stuff. Want to bring back in Vincent Hill. Vincent, there were some parts of the prosecution's opening statement that caught my eye. The fact that this officer had 6 seconds to react once he drew his gun, that there were no other civilians in the area, that there was a taser unit nearby to subdue Laquan McDonald, and also that probably the biggest part is that Laquan McDonald was walking away from the officers towards that chain link fence. Those different factors, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, Jesse, I don't want to speculate what Jason Van Dyke was thinking on that day. I would assume he would argue that he thought either his life or his partner's life were in danger. But here's where the problem lies. As you can see by that dash cam footage, there were several other officers that had been on that scene for several minutes. They didn't use deadly force. So that would tell you that a reasonable officer, i.e. all those other officers there on the scene, did not consider him to be an imminent threat against their lives or the public's lives. So that's the issue here. Van Dyke arrives 6 seconds later. He fires 16 shots. So you have to question, what was his thinking? What was his rationale to say use of force, deadly force, was justified in this situation?
All right, Vince, I'm glad we have you on because this is a really interesting series of events that happened, and I want to get your perspective on it. But I want to play more of the prosecution's opening statement. Let's continue there, and we'll have more to analyze. All right, let's bring back in Vincent Hill to dissect this prosecution's opening statement. Vincent, I got to ask, do you think race played a factor in this shooting?
Well, Jesse, I definitely don't want to play that card here. Again, I don't know what he was thinking there. And to expand on what the prosecution was saying there about not knowing his medical condition, not knowing this, police won't know that when they show up to a scene. They're just getting a call to respond to a crime. So we can eliminate that. You know, we can speculate race all we want. I don't know. I don't want to be in the mind of that officer, what he was thinking at that time. But I do want to touch on what's known as the fleeing felon rule. Of course, we all know about that. And it says you can use deadly force if there's a threat against yourself or the public. And as you can hear in that prosecution opening statement where he says there was no one around those businesses, the Burger King and the Dunkin' Donuts, I believe he was walking towards a chain link fence. So I think that's what's going to come out and hurt this officer in this case. There was no imminent threat against the public. We saw the dash cam video. There was no imminent threat against Van Dyke or those other officers there on the scene, and that's what it's going to boil down to.
Could you argue, though, the mere holding of the knife is enough of a threat?
Not in that sense. I mean, granted, you could argue that, but what you would have to see, according to one of the reports, I believe that Van Dyke filed, is that Laquan charged him with the knife. Now, had we seen that in the dash cam video, then absolutely you can argue that, because I could argue the 21-foot rule and how you could be stabbed before you could even pull that trigger if someone has an edged weapon already aimed towards you. So, yeah, we could argue that, but you can see on this video as we're watching right now, that was not the case, Jesse.
Wow. This is a case that we really got to dissect, and this video we have to dissect from all different kinds of angles. So, Vincent, stand by. We're going to talk more about it when we come back from a break, including the defense's opening statement. We'll see how they did. So stay tuned. We're covering a lot here on Law and Crime.